Welcome back to the WGL EU Match Week 2 for the 2015-2016 Season 1. We are 2 games down. We've got 1 game to go. And that last one, Ding versus Wusa. Some promise being shown by Ding. Definitely a couple rounds I managed to pick up. But again, the veterans of Wusa, the experience and their cohesion definitely paid off in a 5-2 win.
Yeah, I think some of the decision-making by Ding was questionable. I think they're nervous a little bit. They showed some good rounds. I mean, some good decisions, some late decisions, though. And, you know, I think Wusa just, you know, they seem like a more polished team than last season, but also just a better team than Ding right now.
And that's right. As we said to Melly before, there were some woes where, you know, people were saying now they're seeing a lot more of a consistent Wusa. They're feeling more confident putting their votes behind them. Obviously, they had consistency issues in the past, but definitely shaping up nicely. It'd be great to see them sort of start to head up towards the top of the league again. I know a lot of people here in Germany would love to see them be a real factor here. But so we're going to move on though to our second match of the day. We'll have a look at our progress through the day. Of course, we've already had 2 of our matches: Kazna versus Synergy. We've had Ding versus Wusa. We'll get those results up for you now. If you have just joined us, Kazna Crew 5-1 over Synergy, and of course 5-2 over Ding for Wusa. And obviously our third map, Tornado Rocks versus Virtus.Pro. We've seen 2 fairly quick maps, fairly quick matches, should I say. Yep. You sort of said to me off stream that you expect this one to be a little bit more drawn out. Yeah,
I think this one's going to be slower because, you know, two teams that have been noted to be a little bit slower. We've got Ruhenberg and we've got Himmelsdorf. Those are 2 maps. VP defending on Ruhenberg, Rocks defending on Himmelsdorf. I mean, VP have been so solid on this map since day 1, where they beat Kazna Crew just straight out of the gates in Season 5. So I think this one's going to be a little bit slower, but, you know, we could be surprised. Sometimes V-Pro is just like, screw it, throw everything to the wind and just go full in, and it works for them.
And we've always talked about V-Pro as sort of the old guard, the team that, you know, everyone sort of knew played quite static, and, you know, a lot of people said the reason for their failure in the Season 5 finals is because of their inability to adapt to new things being brought into the game. They're still relying on, you know, 251s and the 3090s, slow to adapt to sort of the 54 lightweight sort of brawl strategy. But last week, what we saw from them in their match against Kazna is some signs of a team that is willing to now change things up, or maybe has the capacity to do that. Kusok was big on the Artie, of course, on mine. So maybe we're starting to see Virtus.Pro now grow out of that old style of play.
I think Virtus.Pro is morphing as a team. It happens occasionally. I mean, Virtus.Pro obviously being one of the more consistent teams and as a roster, not necessarily because of their play style, but you know, apart from that disastrous loss against Team Dignitas in Season 1, we really haven't seen a big change-up in Virtus.Pro. It's good to see 2 of their new players coming in. Obviously, saw Coca-Cola, and really he's been pretty good. I mean, some up and down performances, but I think I like that new blood. It seems to be not necessarily making Virtus.Pro stronger, but changing them a little bit.
Well, we haven't talked too much about Tornado Rocks, but we did see them obviously last week up against Ding. They shook them on Himmels. They went 4-0 on that map. They looked confident. Those few matches that they did sort of drop on Ruhenberg, they seemed like a little bit split. A dual mentality, maybe. We saw them coming in from the north. Half their force stayed on the cap to defend it, half push to attack. Virtus.Pro were going to punish that kind of play.
Yeah, you can't split up in Virtus.Pro. They'll just pick a side and they'll just rush towards it. They'll just deal with it. They'll just put all their tanks in towards it. And unless you have your timing absolutely perfect and you have some sort of tank in the middle, you're going to really struggle against Virtus.Pro now.
All right, so we're going to be into our map very shortly. Of course, guys, get involved in the conversation over on Twitter using the hashtag WGLEU, and of course, you can get your votes in on the games. If you haven't already been doing that, keep your eyes peeled on chat for how that'll work. We're going to jump into game right now. We're going to be on Ruhenberg yet again, so we're going to get to see how you know, Rocks maybe have adapted. This was the worst of their 2 maps that we saw last week. There was some signs of genius there. Only picked up in the 1 round against Ding. Seemed like they struggled a little bit especially on the attacking side, and that's exactly where they're starting today.
Yeah, so we got 2 very different lineups. We got the 5 T54 lightweight stack, 1 AMX 1390, 1 T37 from the side of Tornado, and from Virtus.Pro we've got, well, a kind of standard eastern side heavy camp lineup with the 5100s and the IS-3s.
Good little setup from the IS-3 at the back of the map there. That was Kusok actually, but now he's got to pay for that. He was on his own shooting at those Tornado tanks as they pushed out, but he gets sent packing with his tail between his legs now as Tornado are going to start pushing up that middle road. The response is going to come in fast from Virtus.Pro. You can see them setting up in the street. Breakneck tries to go for a shot, but he gets two put into him as a result. And Tornado Rocks are actually standing up to Virtus.Pro here. It's been said, in fact, Carmen talked about it earlier in the post that he made, that Virtus.Pro don't actually like playing up against these Russian-style tactics. They generally aren't successful against it. But let's see what Rocks can do to shake them.
We just missed that, but Negative took down Kusok there. So great move. I mean, I'm not sure exactly if Tornado meant that, but, you know, they got the initial damage onto very aggressive, very outward play from Kusok. They send the AMX 1390, the strike force in, finished them off, didn't bounce any shells, no problem at all. So great initial play by Tornado. Now they need to keep the pressure on. Negative is down pretty low, but they have so many options. In my opinion, the best one is just to play towards the right side. They've already taken down one heavy tank. They can use those T-54s and that one tank deficit to actually come back into this game and win this.
All right, Karita's trying to harass Dreco, but it's not really going that well for him. It's a super fast fire rate on an MT25. It's a little brawler, that one, but it might be a little bit overmatched there. Karita's there going down to the Armageddon. Tornado sitting up on the middle of the road. They can sort of go left or right here, whichever the way they like, but now Coca-Cola's getting in towards positive here, putting the shots in his direction. Tornado's still holding on. They've got a good health point lead here. Those initial salvos early on really still helping him now as an implication of that. The Annihilator now on towards the cap. It's a dual capture attempt here from Tornado, and Virtus.Pro don't know where to shoot.
No, Virtus.Pro definitely out of this game. Forsic, the top damage dealer from the last match, is going to go in and try and finish this game.
All right, Pavel, Coca-Cola, Just Cause still standing, but not for long. Coca-Cola goes down. Just Cause is low, very low. A one shot, in fact, and now Pavel is the last man standing. He's probably on reload, if I'm not mistaken, and he's going to get pushed onto as well. He has some shells, but it's going to need a little bit more than what he's got to bring to this battle. And Tornado Rocks have rocked Virtus.Pro. They've come out of the gates, a very strong showing in this first map with some very interesting play through the middle.
Nice play there. There's really ballsy just to stop in the middle of the map and shoot over towards Kusok, but they brought him down to a low enough hit points that the T-37 and the MX 1390 could go in, take both angles of Kusok, take him down. Nice play there by Negative. And then, you know, a good response by Just Cause, taking down the T-54 lightweight, but at the end of the day, the MT-25 was lost from Virtus.Pro. Karit's playing that, and Tornado played around that eastern village very nicely. Got the cross on. They always had line of sight on each other. So I really enjoyed that play from Tornado.
You can see after Kusok was forced to back away, it was pretty much a non-issue there, and Tornado Rocks, see them just making sure that they get the job done as they push on towards him there. I mean, that was very quick response from Rocks as they pushed out of the middle of the map. And that really set them up. That really set them up for a sort of a good run there.
Yeah.
They were in a position where if Virtus.Pro were going to sort of push the road or try and go out for a shot like we saw Breakneck try and do, there were 5 tanks sitting there ready to fire. Virtus.Pro didn't have multiple angles. They just had the one. They were set up in those villages and they just sort of had to brawl it out. And Kusok already off the map. That's the only IS-3 the Virtus.Pro were bringing to the game, so their brawling potential was compromised heavily.
I think Virtus.Pro just expected Tornado to play a little bit more of a passive game here. I mean, you know, Virtus.Pro had a good lineup with the 5100s and the IS-3, but, you know, Tornado, a lot of teams, you know, they go where Coca-Cola is when they're playing the attacking side. They just go to where Coca-Cola is, allows the defending team just to rotate around, take the middle area, but Tornado, they held their ground. They had the cross on with the T-37 and the MX 1390 towards the left side, providing support for the middle tanks, but the middle tanks held their ground there, and they made sure that no Virtus.Pro tank could exchange without having some sort of fire back towards them. Also that they couldn't just travel straight across the middle of the road and actually get into any kind of position where they could push.
Is this the kind of strategy from Tornado that we're seeing, the very aggressive push out of the city? Is this something that only works one, or can they try it again? The Virtus.Pro, is it easy to adapt to this?
Well, Virtus.Pro is one of those teams that once their normal strategy doesn't work once, they usually try something new and go for something which is gonna, you know, not allow the same thing to happen twice. You know, Virtus.Pro, they didn't expect the IS-3 to get caught out so early on. So I'm looking to see if Virtus.Pro adapt, change things up a little bit. I think their lineup was fine, but I think they need to be a little bit more decisive, a little bit more on the beat, maybe even push some of those T-54s and make sure that they don't exchange damage without, you know, giving some of their own.
Is it worthwhile them committing more tanks to the northern side of the map? It was just Kusok on his own there. Can they pair him with even the MT-25 or a lightweight, or is that too much resources in that part of the map.
Well, the thing is, you can have more tanks there, but you know, Kusok gets pushed on, then you need to make sure your tanks are shooting the tanks which are, you know, trying to kill Kusok, because you have this fountain in the middle area which can provide a good amount of cover from the middle, but still you can still get shot. So let's see if they do that again.
All right, again, Virtus.Pro really valuing that middle village here. And this time it's only a small force of Tornado that's pushing out of the middle. The rest is moving towards the bottom side of the map. No real changes in terms of tanks here. It's a heavy T-54 lightweight lineup here for Tornado Rock, super mobile. And just again, the one IS-3 for Virtus.Pro. Tornado Rock struggled against a tankier, as I use that term, lineup with these lightweights last time against Ding on Ruinberg, because they just sort of got outgunned at range. But you can see them just sort of spreading over this cap now. What's the response going to be like from Virtus.Pro here?
I think Virtus.Pro can hold their ground. They know that Tornado's not going for a little bit more of an unusual tactic, although the cap is very strong from Tornado. Normally we only see 2 tanks in there. Zik does get caught out a little.
Zik is going to cop a lot of damage. And the problem is putting 3 tanks on the cap is fine, but they can't really follow up on Zik. They can't really give him too much overwatch here, as they're sort of committed all to that one spot. The Armageddon now is going to find himself outnumbered as well. 3 tanks coming straight over the middle. Virtus.Pro want to fight. They're going to take it straight to Tornado Rocks. Breakneck, Just Cause pushing out. Coca-Cola went fairly low in that one as well. Streko also taking a bit of damage. The cap's being reset constantly. Virtus.Pro are able to keep Tornado on their toes, but Armageddon now pushing on towards Karitz, out towards the side. He'll be able to be relevant later on, but the Annihilator down to a 1-shot, and Tornado Rocks have to get off that cap.
I'm not sure if Tornado can actually hold on here. Volsik is going to get taken down very low. Bishop's doing a good job against the Armageddon. Not sure he's going to win that 1v1, but Kusok now there in the fight with the IS-3 is going to be so hard to deal with.
And there's the shot. Kusok is going to clean up the Armageddon now. It's just 3 tanks left here. I mean, Tornado Rocks are in with a chance, so this game isn't out of their hands, but they don't have much to work with. A 1390 and 2 54 lightweights. Just Cause is a 1-shot, but the rest of Virtus.Pro are looking fairly healthy with the exception of Bishop. So Tornado would have to get lucky, I think, in a few situations to pull this one off.
And Just Cause is just holding that line, keeping spots onto the T-54s. But you got negative now off reload in the MX-1390, but still, you know, Virtus.Pro once again has all the cards in their hands, and, you know, they really have, you know, everything to lose here. 5100 guesses just off reload there. Povel playing that one. Breakneck, Kusok in good crossfire positions. You got Bishop, Just Cause holding that line, and I think Virtus.Pro will look just to push out, use the heavy tanks, use the tanks with a lot of HP to finish this game off.
Virtus.Pro have thrown games from this position before, so you can see they're not taking any chances here, especially being 1 round down already. Just Cause is just sitting in the back. He's only going to take a shot if he knows that he can take it and get away scot-free. Shot from positive to Kusok, doesn't manage to connect. And that was an important one there as well. Every shot counts from here for Tornado Rocks. But as again, they're really up against it. Virtus.Pro with twice the hit points and almost twice the tanks. A lot more guns in the game now with 3 minutes and 45 seconds remaining. Tornado have to be decisive. They have to try something at least. The onus is on them to attack.
I'm kind of surprised, you know, Positive was so passive in that position. I think he could have just pushed Kusok and Zik, you know, gone further back a little bit earlier on to provide Positive a little bit of backfire, you know, behind those double bushes to keep himself unspotted. So Tornado are holding on here, and, you know, Virtus.Pro are very aware of the fact that, you know, 2 T-54s and an MX-1390 can do a lot of damage. But having said that, being so far ahead in this game, I'm super surprised Virtus.Pro is so tentative and so willing to wait for Tornado to potentially have a way back in. And, you know, it's going to happen at some point. Virtus.Pro have to finish this.
This is classic Virtus.Pro, though. This is a position they find themselves. They don't really get psyched out in sort of the way of throwing the game, but they can become really, really, really tentative and sometimes reluctant to take the fight. So you've got to wonder what the impact of them losing that first map in such stunning style now as a Tornado. I mean, they really don't have any options, as you said. If Virtus.Pro can, by rights, just sort of push over and take them out. They could also bleed the clock. As we said, Virtus.Pro don't mind sort of taking their time in games like this. And even Kusok is pulling out of that middle village as well.
It's so unnecessary that, I mean, you know, it's bleeding the clock and playing, you know, forward clock and cleverly and carefully. But, you know, come on, when you have a big advantage, you need to make it work for you, because some teams will just do some miracle and win when you don't take advantage of these situations. Virtus.Pro is just saying to themselves, we have every single thing. You know, we have all the angles covered. We have all the possible ways Tornado could win this game in the bag, and we don't have to do anything, but it's so unnecessary. You might as well stretch the envelope, go forwards, take down negative, and really just make this game into their favor, and maybe even demoralize Tornado a little bit.
Instead of demoralising Tornado, all they're doing is giving them time to think even about their next game if this isn't perhaps one that they can salvage. All the time in the world to discuss this. Virtus.Pro, happy to let them come to them. Positive now going to be pushing up as well. I think Tornado Rocks have realised that, they probably already know, but they're pretty happy to maybe finish this off now. Negative going around the back as well, trying to help out his mate. Brothers in arms, Positive and Negative. Who would have thought? And of course, off to the side, Zik as well, trying to get himself onto that middle road to take some shots for free, because that would be the only possible way that Tornado could bring this back.
Yeah, well, Pavel's deciding to finally go in. He's going to be able to try and take down negative.
Full health, 5100. I don't know why it took him so long now. He's actually going to connect that first shot. He'll find Positive with a second, most likely. And that's an easy clean-up, something Virtus.Pro could have done 5 minutes ago, but that's okay. We won't hold it too much against him now. And Zik, of course, all in his lonesome with it all to do. And Virtus.Pro are going to go hunting for him now like the bears that they are. And they'll definitely have their eyes set on that second map. Virtus.Pro, they're not the kind of team that you can really pull off the same, I won't say cheese, but the same sort of specific tricks 2 games in a row.
No, and also that push towards the K line, up the K line, didn't really work out for them. And I'm kind of surprised they didn't take a leaf out of Kaz and Crew versus Synergy, where Synergy tried the same thing and got very, very badly punished by Kaz and Crew. That eastern side cap very, very rarely works, even when they decided to try and be surprising and put 3 tanks instead of 2. But at the end of the day, Virtus.Pro had the T-54s for a reason, just to get those resets.
We've talked about that as well. It's, if you stick yourself up on that cap, well, you're confined to that space, first of all. And there aren't buildings on that cap. There aren't any form of sort of protection for teams pushing onto there. So you put yourself at the mercy of your opponents. And for teams who can have confidence in coming forward, for a team who knows when to sort of push, like Hasna demonstrated to us on their Ruinberg game, you really make a target of yourself as well. Yeah. If you can't soften up the enemy to enough of a degree that them pushing onto you will cause their demise, then you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be pushing up like that. I mean, yes, Rocks had like a lighter lineup in terms of sort of the health points of their tanks. They didn't actually bring any heavies at all, I think. It's just the 54 lightweight. So they never really wanted to go head-to-head to Virtus.Pro, but surely there's a better way to fight against that lineup than that. Yeah,
there is. I mean, I think Rocks got a little bit lucky, and obviously got a little bit lucky with Kusok in that first round. But I think they wanted to try 2 kind of surprising tactics in a row. And it's better than, going for what we see a lot of the teams going for something really cool in the first round, and then the second round they just try something totally generic, and it obviously fails miserably. So, I mean, got to give props to Tornado keeping the NAV team guessing, keeping Virtus.Pro guessing, and Virtus.Pro have been good on this map, and really, really hard to beat indeed.
So here's, I guess, the initial push on towards the cap when Virtus.Pro was set up. I mean, could Tornado maybe have left the cap and not worried about it for the time being, and gone for another approach at trying to dig Virtus.Pro out?
No, I don't think so, because if you move out the cap, you go towards the Eastern Village, and you're dealing with the heavy tanks, and then it becomes all about the play around around the houses. You get all that cat and mouse game, and the 5100 always going to win that. And you could see let's say 3 to 5 seconds Virtus.Pro had in terms of a window. I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it is an eon of time to get the resets in when you've got 4, 5, 6 tanks making the shells. That's right, and they knew exactly where they'd have to find Tornado Rocks. As we said, they had to be on the cap point. Very easy to spot them. All you have to do is roll over, take your shot, and pull back. Virtus.Pro stayed for the protracted engagement. They sort of took their foot off the accelerator at one point. This is probably where that sort of started. As you can see here is when there was just Zik, Positive and Negative standing, and this is what we saw. This bollocks. they just sort of danced around for a couple of minutes here, and really no result sort of came from that one there. God bless fast forward. I wish we could have that in real time sometimes. Yeah, I mean, it's totally Virtus.Pro. It's so unnecessary. It's so unnecessary just to sit back when you have such an advantage. I mean, it's all this like logical thing, oh, I got to sit back because I got an advantage, no reason to go forwards. But it's so trivial. Like, just go forwards, finish the game off. You're never gonna be a better team because you sat back when you have an advantage. I mean, even if you do, you know, lose a couple of tanks, lose some hit points, at least you've learned, and at least you've kept your momentum going.
Yeah, it's also about the psychological factor of it as well. You don't really want to give your opponents too much time to adjust to that, to sort of, you want to push them. You want to always make them feel like they have no time to make their decisions. It's about the pressure game. It's one that Virtus.Pro don't really apply unless they are in a really, really good position, and then they'll sort of just go nuts. But it's less common you see from them. It's where openings can appear. You can give the enemy time to think. Water Tanks is a game where the game state changes all the time, and there are correct answers sometimes. There really are. I mean, if you put yourself in a position where you can still salvage a game and you were given time to do that, that's the fault of the team who lets them relax and think.
Yeah, and you know, when we look at Ruinberg overall, it's actually surprisingly unbiased. The attack and defense is almost 50-50 in terms of win ratio, so it's going to be interesting to see if Virtus.Pro, you know, have something up their sleeve to bring this one into more of their favor, as we would expect from Virtus.Pro.
Slightly more standard rollout here, usually pushing up from the south towards that eastern direction, getting in a bit of a brawl sometimes up at the far east side of the map on the road. If they can get some tanks set up there, they can do work. Tornado don't want to contest here. They brought the double LTTBs as well this time around, which we've been enjoying seeing. And here we go, Virtus.Pro want to take that eastern road. A
lot of IS3s as well from Tornado, a huge amount, just going for a brute force approach to this defensive side on Ruinberg. So very interesting. You can see the hit points disparity is insane, and you know, one shot 460 damage, and Bishop's down to like 55-60% hit points. So you know, already a big advantage for Virtus, for Team Tornado, and you know, Virtus have to really, you know, come up with something pretty clever and something that's going to drag Tornado around the map. You know, go up north, go down south, and even when you have that LTTB ×2 and the 5100 up north, it still wouldn't be a viable strategy for Virtus.Pro to overmatch in that eastern village.
So this is, as you said, this is the perennial struggle. This new meta, lightweight, heavy lineup going up against the tried and true sort of, you know, Iron Fist, IS3s, 5100, and you know, some tier 6 or 7s thrown in there. Virtus.Pro have realised this. They've recognised that they can't take the fight head to head here. They're going to back away in towards the city and try and come up with something else. But what do they come up with? Can they really chance at a northern cap right now? IS3s, for a heavy tank, they move down fast, and there's always the possibility that Virtus.Pro can get in position to assist with a northern tank.
Oh, but Streko once again getting caught out. I mean, this was one of the storylines from last time we saw Tornado play. Streko continuously getting caught out, and maybe just not enough peeking from Tornado to actually see that Virtus.Pro were rotating around. And as I said, that's one of the advantages of the AMX 1390s and the light tanks, is that you can start stretching the other team out. Having said that, Kusok now down to 35% hit points. At some point, Virtus have to push somewhere. They have to go for something aggressive, and actually up north, this looks like a good option.
All right, 54 lightweighted Bishop and Just Cause as well. They're looking for negative Enforcen right there. They're going to try and chunk down that 5100 before he can let his chamber go. But will they have enough tanks for that? That's the question. The 1390 is there, and Negative is just using his body to shield Forsen now. And Forsen's got all the time in the world to let these shots go. And here's a response from Tornado Rocks as well across the field. The IS3s are on the move. Forsen is still standing. This trident push for Virtus.Pro has been split right now, and they're breaking like waves upon rock. Vorsen just holding right now. He's more than happy to move back and forth at the moment. He will go down, but the cost that has been incurred for Virtus.Pro is huge. The IS3s are there. They're in possession. There's no way Virtus.Pro can cap right now, and that attack was not successful.
Not at all. I mean, the IS3s as a sniper is great, but when you have 4 of them, eventually one of them is going to hit the shell, and you're going to overmatch in terms of damage when you have such a player like Vorsic in the 5100, you know, being the front man essentially. So, you know, the thing is, the cap on 754, 120 seconds, it makes it very hard for, you know, Kusok to make the decision. Okay, I'm going to sit in the cap. I'm going to make sure that at some point Tornado has to put some resources towards me. And that allowed Tornado just to push out with Positive, the Annihilator, and Armageddon in their 3 IS3s and actually, you know, take down Koritz and, you know, clean up that cap, which was being slowly but surely nudged down by Tornado.
Pobble is loaded now, that's why he's pushing out. He's going to take a shot. Oh, it's tough to connect on those IS3s, and he's going to get chunked down until the Annihilator now going to take his turn, but Pobble shifts at just the right time to avoid that one. Zik off screen takes down Kusok, and it's just Breakneck and Pobble left. 1390 and the 5100 and their French tanks, so we're pretty much talking about paper mache. And even though those IS-3 sometimes can be like throwing bricks at a pinata at 10 paces, get up close, and they're very, very hard to deal with. The 4 IS-3s left with Tornado Rocks. The tank pick was good. They had that initial advantage, but they really pressed it as well. It was so hard for Virtus.Pro to get on towards those cap sites against such a heavy lineup. Surely those the 54 lightweights, they're going to have to change that up.
Yeah, and it was so interesting. I mean, he had a really obvious push from Virtus.Pro, like the LTTB and Volsic in the 5100. Already Shreko had gone down in his LTTB, but I think Virtus.Pro saw their way in, and I thought the same. You know, like those 2 tanks on their own, push in, take them down very quickly, end of story. But actually, the IS-3s sitting in the middle could shoot, and they did a lot of damage. It also gave them time to go around, and at the end of the day, you can see the advantage of that 5100 against the T-54s. It takes so long for the T-54s to take down a 5100. I mean, it's 6.5 seconds reload, 250 damage against 1,400 hit points. Eventually, it's going to die, but it's going to take you a significant amount of time and enough time for those IS-3s to come around.
And this is beautiful from Negative. He sets himself up in front of Vorsen. Vorsen takes 1 hit, and then Negative soaks up 3 more shots, is still alive somehow, and it finally goes down. Vorsen can offload that damage right now, and that's so important for Tornado Rocks and chunking down that initial strike force of Virtus.Pro. I mean, if Vorsen had dropped any earlier, I mean, Virtus.Pro could have overwhelmed before those IS-3s got into position. But by the time they did, Vorsen had been alive long enough to severely cripple those lightweights, and then it was just easy pickings for those 4 IS-3s.
Yeah, and I think Virtus.Pro weren't. They didn't go far enough forward. So, you know, they should have seen that immediately. Just go in, take them down, not sit around. You know, get the timing correct, and make sure you're hitting those shells very nicely. And by this time, I think it's already game over. The cap's being cleaned up. Kusok was already down to 30% HP. You know, Zik in that IS-3 does finish him off, and Pavel really is left with too much to do.
So Virtus.Pro, the first attacking round, not going so well for them. And I mean, Tornado doing very, very well to have picked a round up for themselves on the attacking side. Virtus.Pro now have to dig a bit deeper. They have to change something up. We expect here at the desk, of course, that they're going to go for something a little bit heavy, or maybe just not something as light. I mean, I've never seen it more obvious than now how much those light tanks struggle up against those IS-3. It's just very, very difficult as well. They're not well armored. Their guns, well, they're not quite good enough to get through that armor all the time. And have Virtus.Pro changed their lineup much at all here?
They've gone for the AMX 1390 and one more AX7, I think that's it, and the T-54s, MT-25, but not really. But this is the thing I don't understand. I mean, we have Ghost Town and Lakeville. I mean, why don't I pick that? Why go for Ruhenberg? It's the same old, same old. We always see it. We always see the same kind of strategies on it. And at the end of the day, on Lakeville, at least you can try something new and, you know, potentially win just based on that, as opposed to like, oh, 3 IS-3s, 4 IS-3s, just getting the overmatch in terms of damage on the hit points. It makes it very, very easy for the defenders to win unless the attacker gets it absolutely correct.
Coca-Cola now pressing up, looking for an advantage, or at least trying to relay some information back to his team about the positioning of Tornado Rocks, but he's come up with nothing so far in that little engagement. You can see Bishop and Just Cause heading up towards that top road. They managed to get up there unscathed thus far, but they haven't really created any opportunities of their own either. Zik and the Annihilator just sitting up on that corner, holding solid, and they are definitely going to wait for Virtus.Pro to try and dig them out.
See, this is a problem. You know, you can't push into the eastern side village as the attackers particularly easily, because unless the other team has got very light setup, it's very, very hard indeed. So I'm going to be looking towards what those LTTBs can do from Tornado as well. I think that's a 5100 behind. No, it might be a 5100. I think it's Vorsic there. So yeah, it's Vorsic, Negative, and Shreko. I think that's the strike force that will eventually come down. Otherwise, Vorsic would have just been that eastern village. But Virtus.Pro don't seem to really have a good idea what they want to do. The MT-25 is slowly making their way. They are winning the occasional exchange, but still Tornado have a decent amount of hit points towards them. And actually, to be fair, that's definitely a good thing. I mean, they're winning the exchanges, they're whittling it down, and they're putting themselves on level with Tornado, that if they do push, they will actually be able to win the engage.
I mean, Virtus.Pro haven't taken any damage yet, and they've taken almost 1,000 hit points off of Tornado Rocks. So this is that cautious but very mechanically complex play that Virtus.Pro have been known for. They're not exactly running at you guns blazing, but what they are doing is chunking you down over time. They know they've walked into a scenario where the enemy has more health points straight away. So if you want to use that as an indicator of a team's progress in a game, then yeah, like they go in with an initial advantage. But Virtus.Pro have all but done away with that right now. They've done a lot of damage to Tornado, and they're continuing to do it as well. Look at the shots coming across. It's very, very close, only about 200 in it. And now they're sitting on towards this cap. Now they want Tornado to push onto them. Is this a smart idea? I
think this is the only thing Tornado can do. They have to try and go through, and it really does depend on how much damage Virtus.Pro does, as they do actually head out and get themselves safe.
Kusok is hit. Zik as well, though, as he's trying to push out. And Virtus.Pro are holding very, very well. Kusok's still the only one to take damage there, and Virtus.Pro are happy to move off the cap. They're being a bit flexible about this now, and they are winning these damage trades right now. It is very, very close, but remember, Tornado had the initial advantage. Zik very, very low. He's got nowhere to go. He's getting shot from 3 different directions, and Virtus.Pro set up a beautiful crossfire to take him off the map. Breakneck in the 1390. Sure, he's getting pummeled, but it's just a 1390. It's okay. Povl now dealing with Negative and Streko. He's dealing with those 2 LTTBs, and that's what they can do when they gang up. Those Hornets, they can take down a bigger tank, and I don't really know how effective or impactful Povl was, because he's off the map now, and Tornado Rocks are looking to capitalize.
It was pretty clever from Virtus.Pro, but still the pure HP, the pure firepower from Tornado is just so hard to deal with, but they are slowly but surely getting there. It's just back and forwards.
All right, Virtus.Pro chunk down there, but look at Positive the Annihilator. Wow, Kusok there gets up a kill, and the Annihilator is going to respond on towards Just Cause. It's a 4v4. This one could go quite close, but as the smoke clears, Tornado Rocks have that health point advantage. The Armageddon's healthy. He's going to be able to pick up Bishop. Kusok drops down now as well, and at the very death of it, Virtus.Pro are losing their players. Breakneck and Karitsa, the last 2 standing. That's essentially nothing to be working with Karitsa, the MT25. Oh, he's a little engine that could, but he's got a big job ahead of him, especially when Breakneck is right over on the other side of the map. Virtus.Pro, a strong start, but where's it all gone?
I mean, it's just as simple as that. They didn't have the firepower and then have the hit point. Simple as that. I mean, even with a good strategy, they just got overmatched. As soon as they went around the corners, boom, Tornado hitting them with 390 damage shells, 400 damage, 450 damage, and any strategy just goes out the window at that point in a lot of respects. But they've done very well, taking Tornado down to about 1 tier 8 tank. But Breakneck has so much work ahead of him as he just try and take down an Armageddon.
It is a 1390, so I mean, he's got a couple shells left. Positive and the Annihilator could go down. I mean, it's a long shot. It was a very long shot, but there you go. Tornado Rocks getting their 3rd round win over Virtus.Pro. It is not common at all, Ollie, that we see Virtus.Pro in a position like this.
Well, no. I think the last time someone won an online match against Virtus.Pro was Spaller back in Season 3, perhaps. Yeah, probably Season 3. So it's been a very long time. I can't think of any other match apart from that one. So Tornado might be doing the impossible right now, and that was Virtus.Pro's map. So very impressive stuff from them. At the end of the day, it's a numbers game. Tornado had the IS-3s. They have the damage. Great. I love the play from Virtus.Pro. They had the 2 tanks in the cap, just tempting Tornado to come forwards. Then when Tornado came forwards to try and get the resets, immediately the MT25 and the MX-39 to get behind into cover. Tornado are into a position which they can get crossfired on. And, you know, that point definitely... Virtus.Pro are winning, but the problem is, as soon as the LTTBs get onto the side of Povl, it's game over, because Povl dies, LTTBs can pester, and there's not really that much Tornado can do.
Brilliant work from those 2 LTTBs, as you do mention that now. They managed to gang up on towards Povl, force him up the hill into that little alcove, so there's no way that Povl's going to be really able to contribute to the fight over the rest of the map, and that is where they needed him, especially...
No, Povl was there in the first place. I mean, the thing is, Povl got shot a lot, and he was doing great damage. That's the thing, you know, where Povl is, he can shoot the Annihilator, Zik, Positive, the Armageddon. And as long as all those tanks are, you know, focused on Povl, Bishop can just pound them. Coca-Cola can pound them. This is where Virtus.Pro are winning. But then you can see those LTTBs in the middle just, you know, take care of Povl. And then suddenly, those IS-3s turn their turrets and they start dealing with Bishop. They start dealing with Breakneck. And that's really where the problem comes in for Virtus.Pro. And I think they needed something on the pass. You know, they needed an MT25, you know, Karitz, you know, pestering, giving them a little bit more time.
It was a beautiful turnaround, actually. You're right, as you said that. You know, like Povl was putting some shots on towards the street, but that's what you need. If Virtus.Pro are going to break the larger health pools of those IS-3s and get those 122mm guns out of the game, they need the front-loaded burst damage coming out from those autoloaders, and namely those 5100s. And the fact that Povl wasn't really able to sort of finish his job is probably definitely disappointing. But now, Melly, let's talk about the map vote on this one, because we've had it come up a few times. Definitely looked like it was in favour of Virtus.Pro. I guess people still trusting them, but the shoe's on the other foot now a little bit, isn't it?
Well, that's like the thing we discussed earlier. Virtus.Pro is a well-known team. They've been in the gold season from the very beginning, and people know and love them and know what they're capable of. So the vote goes, of course, in favor of Virtus.Pro, but ROX seems to do, yeah, I don't know what they're doing, but they're winning, and they should keep doing it. And I think the vote might change a little, but still, as said, all the people that voted for Virtus.Pro at the beginning can't change their votes.
Sure.
So that those votes are solid and put into the back end of the voting system. And we're currently at 89%. So yes, people can still vote, of course, throughout the break, which is ahead of us. So people head over to facebook.com/WGLEU. You might win something nice, even with voting now, if ROX does the impossible.
That's right. Of course, we're asking for them to sort of predict the score as well if they can. Now, I mean, is everyone on Twitch and on Twitter as surprised as we are at the game state? I mean, I don't think anyone of us really expected Virtus.Pro to be down 1-3 against ROX. Is that the same with everyone at home?
I'm really waiting for the map to finish in Twitch and just to see the reaction in Twitch chat, because that's something that almost didn't happen the last year, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. And it's huge, and ROX is writing history right now, of course, at least WGLEU history. And as said, I can't wait for Twitch chat to react, but we already get tweets that ROX definitely rocks and that they should continue, and Virtus.Pro is going to have a really hard time to get the favor back on their sides.
Well, I mean, Ollie, as you said, Spale were the only other team that in our recent memory to take down Virtus.Pro, and Spale didn't make this league. They were relegated. They lost in sort of the qualifying phase. So, I mean, if ROX can rewrite history and then continue to be consistent, this is potentially a real force to be reckoned with. But, of course, we have seen teams start strong and then peter off during the season.
Yeah, and we've got Himmelsdorf up next, and of course, you know, Virtus.Pro very good. But I think overall we have to consider this. ROX are looking a lot more solid than they did against Sting last week. They looked okay, but they kind of fell off in a lot of situations. So I think it's good to see that ROX are continuing. They're being progressive. They want to beat Virtus.Pro. They want to get these significant wins down.
All right, guys, we'll definitely get your responses into us on Twitter with the hashtag WGLEU. We'd love to know what your thoughts are as well. And if you do have any questions, like, you know, is that really, can you go any faster, Mitch, or anything like that? Or, you know, does Ollie actually have good jokes and not ones about echolocation? Then you can ask us those and we'll be able to get back to you. But you have a chance to do that after the break, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back soon with map number 2 right here in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the WGL EU Match Week 2. And we're getting to the pointy end of things here with our games for today. Just like your hair. And of course, Rocks going up against V-Pro. I thought of a few things. I had to cycle through and find the most appropriate one.
I can see how long it took you. Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah, Rocks and V-Pro. Already off to a great start for Rocks. As we said before the break, the voting maybe not reflecting this so much as Melly was saying before. A lot of teams sort of voting before the map. But I think it's a really important statistic to draw out because it describes the expectations of people coming into this game. And they are definitely... It's definitely not the case.
Yeah, well, we've seen that throughout today. We saw Kansas Crew with like a 95% favoritism towards them. We saw like a 90% to Wusa, and we saw like 91% to Virtus.Pro. But, you know, this is classic. As Melly mentioned, the team that people know is the team people are going to vote for. And also, to be fair, they're right. Virtus.Pro shouldn't lose. Wusa shouldn't lose. Kansas Crew shouldn't lose.
But it happens. It does happen sometimes, and this might be one of those cases. And it's always, for Virtus.Pro as well, when they have lost, especially live events, a great example of this, they take it very seriously. And it's something that goes to review. I'm not saying if they lose here today, they're going to have the lineup shuffle, but it's always a consideration. These guys know that at the level they're playing and in the team that they're in, if you're not performing, then no one is replaceable. That's the reality.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, they brought in 2 players. You know, Nomex is not playing today, but Kokila is. You never want to put together a team at the beginning of the season and, you know, have to replace people for no reason. Like, you can't have that going on, but I don't think they're going to do that. I think Virtus.Pro knows that they have a new lineup. They have a team that they have had need to reshuffle, and I think they know that they're going to get a couple of mediocre results.
All right, Melly, of course, now you've had a bit of time to see people's responses. Obviously, a little bit of a delay on stream, so we're waiting to see them come through. I mean, are people sort of mirroring our reaction to this game?
Kind of, but they saw the last round and they kind of said deserved, pretty much. So Virtus.Pro needs to work on their performance, as it seems, and as you guys already said. And yeah. That's pretty much it. The vote changed as well, 77% for Virtus.Pro. That's a new time low for Virtus.Pro, I guess. I mean,
all last season it was like the other voting results we were seeing all the time. So there's definitely been a shift there, and I mean justifiably. And people are sort of saying, well, you know, maybe Virtus.Pro deserved to lose that one. So we're seeing the way the games are playing out now. Himmelsdorf, though, a chance for a bit of redemption for the Bears here. 3-1. They've got to be on the attacking side here, and that might favour them in the way they choose to go forward on this one.
So in the previous matchup, Ding versus Wusa, we saw, you know, some questionable tactics from Ding, but you know, it's Himmelsdorf, so it's all about the decision making and, you know, where do you go, what do you do at a specific time as opposed to just executing a pre-planned strategy. You can see a Tornado just kind of setting up north, you know, shooting. Looks like they're all aiming down the middle area. They got the 12T just to spot that place out and maybe expecting it to spot, you know, a crossing tank. And so far, one shell's gone out. Nothing really connected, nothing really done, as Virtus.Pro start pretty standardly here.
Well, Stricko's not dead yet, so that's a good start for Tornado. So it always seems to almost be a good sign. He does take a shot from Karitz up there on the hill, and he's just sort of fulfilling that role. Quite often you are seeing this 5100 paired up with the 12-ton, just to guarantee an overmatch if there's a stray tank from Tornado to Rocks that was sort of to waltz up the hill. This time Virtus.Pro, of course, with that heavier lineup there. They're not going for lightweights on this map, and you'd be crazy to do so. So, you know, they're going to be giving themselves a little bit more of a leg up in those fights, at least compared to what we saw from them on the last map. Now, let's look at their positioning here. They set the AMX 5100s back. They're probably looking to the train line with those ones, and they're starting to sort of pull back the rest of their IS3s as well to the south.
Yeah, you know, Virtus.Pro, they know that Tornado was shooting down the middle line and they're expecting them to stay in the same location. Tornado do seem to be rotating now. You know, it's all about timing. You often don't have the information on Himmelsdorf because you don't want to peek. So you have to think, okay, so at 1 minute, the team's going to be here. At 2 minutes, what's the next most obvious move? It's like a game of chess. It's like a game of poker. You know, what's the highest odds for something to happen? And you just go for that choice. If you get it wrong, it doesn't matter because you've gone for the most likely choice, and it's the right choice at the end of the day. You can gamble, but that's really never a good thing. So Virtus.Pro look like they want to set up with the 12-ton behind that building there, just cause with support. This is a pretty standard Virtus.Pro tactic. You'll see the support also from the IS3s towards the right. and Tornado also setting up with the kind of defensive line.
Streko pulling back at just the right time. There's Just Cause comes barreling around the corner, and if Just Cause wants to dig Streko out, he might become a target for negative if he's not careful enough. So he will stay there for now, and you can see the track going on. Just Cause, I think, with a bit of a repair there. Streko is close by as well, and he's just going to try and harass as much as he possibly can. Now, with Just Cause up in this position, it's kind of tricky now for Tornado to dig Karitz off that site.
I think they got a good position here, though. The IS-3 of Armageddon is pushing around. He'll probably go through the middle. He might have a problem with Kusok there, or the other IS-3. I think that's being played by Breakneck. But Volsik also heading down the middle. It's going to be tricky for sure, but we've seen it before, and you know, to be fair to them, Virtus.Pro is focused more towards the middle than they are towards the road. That
was amazing from Kusok there. He backed up, he set himself up for the side scrape. He knew he'd be taking some shots if he wanted to get rid of Streko, and he bounced one and absorbed one into his tracks. Perfect result for him. The Armageddon is doing a bit of harassment here towards Just Cause, and Just Cause cannot connect for whatever reason, and he has to back away now behind that building and can't contribute now as he is on reload. But the response is coming in now for Virtus.Pro. They know they have the overmatch here on the Armageddon. He's on his own in the middle of the map. Can the 5100 from Tornado assist before the Armageddon goes down? It'll be a struggle, but yes, there's the shots coming across towards Bishop as well. Pavel has to finish off the Armageddon quickly now and get back over towards the site to defend against any sort of retake attempt by Tornado.
This is going to be the fight now. Does Armageddon live or does he die? I think he will go down because eventually Virtus.Pro will get the angle.
All right, Bishop there looking straight at the Armageddon. He'll be able to take him down. But there's 3 tanks that have been pulled away from Virtus.Pro who are attempting to capture, and now they need to get back and assist. There's a bit of a D-line set up here for Tornado as well, with the 150-100 and the IS-3. Tornado let themselves be a bit more flexible. They are up in health points as well by quite a good amount, but they are down that tank.
Yeah, so Virtus.Pro now putting themselves in a very awkward position because Kusok peaked, he's down to 1 shot. Same as Breakneck, same as Just Cause and Karit. So, you know, that's 4 tanks down to 1 shot. At some point, Tornadoes just need to push in, though. And to be fair, with the kind of line of sights and the straight line shots you have on Himmelsdorf, it's going to hurt, but it's a necessary growing pain.
Well, this IS-3 has to go across and reset fairly soon. Karitz is going to be the target for him now. Kusok and Just Cause can't actually help with that one. So Zik will be able to reset the cap. And now Tornado Rocks with the advantage cannot set up a little bit right now because Virtus.Pro don't, at this particular moment, have the capacity to restart that cap. And they're just going to have to brawl it out dirty.
Yeah, so back and forwards between these two teams a little bit, and Volsik just providing a little bit of firepower there in the background. Negative going forwards, and to be fair, Pavel is just going 1 versus 1 against the Annihilator. He'll probably win that one out. Bishop pushing forwards, and this might be the last stand from Virtus.Pro.
I think that might have been a machine level handoff there to get the review on that one there. But here's Pavel now, forced to back away from the Annihilator. There's no cap underway for Virtus.Pro right now, so they're really just trying to pick up the pieces. Almost all of their tanks are one-shots here to any sort of decent roll from an IS-3. And well, that just demonstrated itself right there. The Annihilator there getting that kill. Pavel just sort of sidling up here. I don't really know if he's in a position to fight right now. I don't know if he's loaded up or not. You know, the Annihilator is going to push around and have a crack, and they're going to get the overmatch. And that is one very dead 5100. Didn't even have a chance there. So Bishop, Kusok, Just Cause. Kusok goes down, and Cola now is also one of the last tanks standing. Virtus.Pro, they took a lot of free damage. They took just, yeah, a lot of free damage with very little response. And now Tornado Rocks can push on. They've softened them up, and they're going in for the kill.
Yeah, I think Just Cause will find Zik at some point here. The Annihilator also onto Bishop, so that's going to be only 2 tanks left. And once again, you know, Tornado, as you mentioned, they have a lot of damage to give without taking a lot of their own. I thought that fight in the middle was very interesting. Good support, great timing again by Volsik in that 5100. He was providing so much firepower that, you know, even if the Armageddon went down, whatever Breakneck did after that would have included him taking a little bit more damage, and he was already down very low. So nice play there altogether from Tornado. I thought Kusok trying that side, that area to the side was a little bit arrogant. I think altogether Virtus.Pro were a little bit arrogant. I think the northern tactic would have just been better because Tornado got the timing right.
And we did see obviously Kusok briefly after this actually pushed up and tried to assist. So Just Cause got himself set there. Streko was always going to be a little bit annoying for him just sitting there. And Just Cause wasn't able to shake him out on his own. It was a decent shot from Kusok there as he sort of made his way across. And this was, as we said, we're feeling fairly good about this. And this was before Virtus.Pro started taking a ton of free damage.
Yeah, so the HP is very close at that point. It just goes badly. I mean, even I kind of thought, okay, so that middle engagement wasn't great for Virtus.Pro, but then we looked over to how much damage Kusok took. He took a hell of a lot. Annihilator kind of getting caught out here, but I think it was one loss when Tornado guessed correctly where Virtus.Pro would push and what they would do. I mean, the cap is so slow, it's almost inconsequential. I mean, Armageddon eventually falls. Breaknet, though, gets one more shot from the Armageddon, I believe, before he does go down. Yeah, he does. And that takes him down to a one shot. And then you can see in your top right-hand corner there, Kusok takes one shot. He'll take another one before we do head over there. So, you know, you can already see 4 tanks down to very little hit points. That gives Tornado a nice little bit of breathing room to push forwards and to finish the game off.
Virtus.Pro putting themselves in the position where they're sort of being forced to push onto set plays, and we saw before they committed those 3 tanks and there was a chance for the 5100, I think, of Vorsen to shoot across the map and really chunk down Virtus.Pro. So just exposing themselves to a lot of damage, and this is really where it started to fall apart. We see the Povl trying to deal with the Annihilator here. Breakneck is not really in position there. He's still in the middle of the map, still recovering after that fight previous. He can't assist on the cap side at all. He's in transit right now. He's not doing anything, and he just gets blown up. And the Annihilator just stops focusing on Povl for that second and just gets the double tap. It's brilliant work from Tornado.
Yeah, Povl just lets the pressure off and gets Breakneck killed. Simple as that. And a little bit careless from Breakneck. Like, he didn't have to take the scenic route at the end of the day. So 4-1 scoreline. Incredible. I mean, Virtus.Pro are almost certainly looking down the barrel of their first loss in a very long time on the online stage. But I don't know. I think Tornado is in that point where they do have a hell of a lot of confidence, and that's where Virtus.Pro do start clawing the rounds back.
All right, last chance, last call for Virtus.Pro here to keep themselves in this one. Going down 5-1 to Tornado Rocks has definitely got a sting, and other teams will be watching right now, looking for those weaknesses, not only in Tornado, but especially Virtus.Pro, as they're being exposed now. Yeah,
so we can see Tornado pushing up towards the 0 line, so they're going to try and switch things up a little bit. Classically, Virtus.Pro do play to the hill, at least at the start. Now, I think Virtus just need to go for a more of a standard tactic. Go up north, go to the B6, B7 area, and go for a cap that way. But don't give Tornado the opportunity to even, reset. A lot of the time when we see Virtus.Pro play, to catch other teams out, they just go randomly aggressive. Like, they just go aggressive, and suddenly you have that situation where Virtus.Pro are brawling with you, and they always win that brawl. But, this is a good omen there. Strecker goes down.
Hashtag just Strecko things. Yeah, I mean, he is always going to be that guy. We mentioned it last week. He was sort of out in that sort of forward position, but should have been aware of how vulnerable he was to Karitz. Karitz has gone up to the top of that hill at every opportunity he's sort of had, and he's done it the last couple of games, so really shouldn't be anything new to Tornado. So they're down that 12-ton. They are defending here, so Virtus.Pro just haven't seemed at all like they've been interested in going for that northern cap push, at least not via the Himmel.
But this is a lot quicker from Virtus.Pro. They are heading up north to straight away, not heading up north, heading to the west, going to that west side cap. And I think this is actually good. This is a good sign from Virtus. They might even catch Tornado without them being in good positions, and they might start the cap in time, get the positions right, make sure they don't take those early trades, and obviously keep all the corners covered. You can see that Tornado are very well aware that Virtus.Pro are probably going towards the west. The Armageddon in that IS3 is going the 8 line like he did last time. You have the cover in the middle. You have the 5100s of negative going up towards A1, A2, A3 area. But now Virtus.Pro will have to adapt. Now we'll see if they're an adaptive team and if they are going to change things up and not let Tornado go aggressive and make the initial plays.
Just Cause gets himself up into that forward position. This time scot-free. No MT25 to deal with. No distraction. No negative coming down and laying some shots in there. So, I mean, that was one of the big flaws in Virtus.Pro's strategy last time, is where Kusok and Just Cause were peeking out the top there and getting picked up. You can see Negative now setting up in this spot, just getting ready to try and respond to any of the spots that do come out. Virtus.Pro definitely, as you said, set up a lot quicker. Their response was very, very fast. They've had the chance to sort of establish position here. And let's see if they can hold this cap.
So if I was Tornado and want to reset this cap, I would do what I did last time, but with a lot more, venom. Just go forwards. Have those IS3s. Have the 5100. Forsic has been absolutely fantastic. Stepping up for his team time and time again. You can rely on that guy, but eventually need to take down Karitz. Maybe go for those early exchanges as well. The Annihilator going up north, a little bit interesting from there. He's got to be very careful, but he can side scrape against those train tracks. Bouncing on Just Cause though, and that's not a good start.
As you said, ultimately Tornado need to dig Karitz off of that site, and they don't really seem all that close to be able to put something like that together. You can see Positive at the right of your screen is pushing straight across middle. Brazen has brass as he goes, and Vorson will be trying to watch him, at least cover his rear end, but it's a risky move. They're trying to maybe distract the attention of Virtus.Pro, but now Tornado Rocks are the guys that are taking a lot of free damage. Zik got double tap there for 619 damage, and he is very, very low after that one as well. These two, Vorson and Positive here, well, they're essentially pinned on that middle there. They can't really leave. They can't assist towards that the western side of the map without taking a few more hits, and they don't have the health to spend like that.
Now it's going to be a game about Virtus.Pro being aggressive. Do they go, whoever wins a firefight, wins the exchanges, is going to win this game. The Annihilator, though, he needs to get in position very quickly because these tanks in the middle are very, very vulnerable.
So Vorson trying to deal with Coca-Cola, but I don't know, Tornado Rocks have just walked themselves into a trap here, and Virtus.Pro looking a heck of a lot better this time around on the attacking side. There goes Positive. I don't understand why they pushed across. It definitely didn't work out for them. The Annihilator got to come forward, trying to push Just Cause and Kusok out of that position, but that's a very dangerous decision to make, especially when you're up against a 5100 and an IS-3 combo. And you can see Kusok just trying to shield Just Cause, but no, he gets double tapped. Kusok wasn't able to defend him. And it's just a matter of time now until the rest of Tornado Rocks are going to get involved in this fight as well. Armageddon is coming up. Zik is very, very low. Just pushing up, though. Kusok going to get 1v2'd right now. The Annihilator negative coming forward. There's an autoloader there. 5100 gets the job done, but it might be too little, too late.
Oh, that was a great comeback there from Tornado. You know, you could see the coordination and the communication on the team is very good. Obviously, the motivation is very high to beat Virtus.Pro, but still 3 versus 4 with about, well over 2 times as much hit points for Virtus.Pro, so they really do have to screw up. Also, Virtus.Pro, they have, you know, a good idea where the whole of Tornado is. They know Armageddon is down to 1 shot, Annihilator's thereabouts as well. So this shouldn't be a too hard game to close up. I believe Coca-Cola's off reload, who, by the way, I haven't really been that impressed with this whole match. He hasn't been in the game, too fair, and that push up north was push up south was a little bit strange.
Bishop turning his head there. The Armageddon has, well, he's definitely pissed him off a bit. Bishop now looking towards him. This is perfect. The way he manipulated Bishop now, having to focus on 2 different directions. They picked him up. Virtus.Pro still with a heck of a lot of hit points, though. But time's ticking down. At some point, do you think Tornado Rocks maybe can get that IS-3 and get him the heck out of dodge? Well, as I say that, Coca-Cola coming to make sure that no retreat is possible.
Yeah, Coca-Cola picking the Armageddon up, negative. Probably going to fall very shortly as well, and Virtus.Pro, you know, not close to winning this yet, but you know, 1 step closer as Coca-Cola does finish off negative. You could see the difference between the round there. The first time we saw that tactic from Virtus.Pro, mistakes all around. You mentioned the 12T, and then that one instance where they took down Streko, they knew they needed to take down Streko, it all went right.
This time they were much more decisive as well. They got to that cap site. Last time it happened in the first round there, by the time I think it was Kusok or one of the other players pushed up towards that western side of the map on the train line, there were already 2 tanks there. The MT-25 to spot them out, so the 3-line shots would always be connecting as well. They had the crossfire. This time there wasn't any opportunity for Rocks to adapt, or at least to set up. So Virtus.Pro taking the initiative this time from a team that, well, we've seen them be super aggressive and sometimes really, really slow in situations where they could just push on to get the win. This time they make a decision to make the correct one. Like you said, they're playing percentages, going by numbers. They're choosing the most likely solution or the ideal solution. They're going with it, and this worked out perfectly for them.
I'm not sure about this. I think it's a pretty questionable decision by the Annihilator to go here. I think if you want to go there, you need to have support by a 5100 as well. Like, have a 5100 go against Kusok and Just Cause, because you have the Armageddon and Zik who can push forwards and get side shots onto Just Cause there. And then, you know, Positive goes forwards, Vorsic there as well. I mean, it's always a little bit dodgy when you're trying to go into a hold down position with a 5100, especially where, you know, your top of your tank is not covered. So I don't think Vorsic needs to go forwards. I don't think Positive needed to either. At the end of the day, I think Tornado forgot a little bit about the fact that they are on the defense, and Virtus.Pro needs to be making the moves.
Okay, well, that's changing now, of course. Yeah, like Virtus.Pro now be on the defense, Tornado Rocks on the attack. It's match point for these guys. All they've got to do now is get one more round, and they've got it. Virtus.Pro with that second one there, they can force the tiebreak if they can hold on. From what we've seen from Tornado Rocks, what we've seen in their matches against Ding and earlier today, how confident would you be as a Rocks fan, I guess, for them to pick up one more round, especially now that the roles are reversed? Very
confident. They're now on the easier side. I mean, we've seen even one week We've seen great adaptation from the attackers and from the defenders even. Like we've seen here, Tornado trying new things and it working. So even when teams are at disadvantage, they'll make it work and they'll manage to win rounds and pick rounds up, especially with surprise tactics and good timing. So I think now Tornado gets to go on the easier side. There's a very, very good chance that they'll actually pick up one of these next 2 rounds.
And I mean, seeing what Carmen, obviously, his thoughts were, obviously ex-Penta player, fairly prominent Polish World of Tanks player. He said, and I mentioned this earlier, Virtus.Pro in the past have demonstrated that they don't like playing against this Russian style of play. They haven't typically performed well against it. Everyone remembers the heartbreaking moment for them, of course, against Na'Vi at the grand finals. They've sort of, it's never been a hurdle they've been able to cross. Obviously, they lost their final match of the grand finals back in our first edition of that event to Na'Vi as well. So, I mean, just a side thought here. But it's a distinctive style that Rocks are bringing, and Virtus.Pro are really having to scrabble to keep up. All this time they spent playing in the European League now might be coming up to bite them in the bum.
To be fair, though, Na'Vi are the kings of double elimination. I'm telling you right now, if there wasn't double elimination in like literally all the leagues until the Grand Finals 2015, Na'Vi wouldn't be half as famous or half as good because they always get beaten at some point. Same as 2000, they got beaten in the semi-finals or the quarterfinals by Virtus.Pro, then they came back from the lower bracket to win. So I think just for the fact that it was single elimination, that's why Na'Vi didn't win. I mean, it's a simple point you have to keep in mind. But back to this game, you know, Tornado on the aggression. Virtus.Pro going for that classic, a little bit of going forwards, trying to get some early damage to give themselves a numbers lead.
Just Cause, Coca-Cola, Karitz, all a little bit better here. The Armageddon, though, is getting completely caught out, and Coca-Cola picks him up. Already an IS-3 off the map here for Tornado Rocks. Virtus.Pro pushing into them. Very Woosa-esque strategy, if there's anything to go by. So far, it's working out okay. Coca-Cola and Just Cause are low, but now, here, finally, is the response from Tornado.
Tornado need to get themselves organized and sorted before Virtus.Pro can actually retreat.
The Annihilator taking a shot there as well. Bishop with one in response, though. Coca-Cola very, very low. He's a one-shot there. Just Cause is getting out of there. The T-37 on Tornado Rocks has gone up north side as well. But here come the shots. The Annihilator soaking up a fair bit as well. They're pushing on towards Virtus.Pro. Virtus.Pro are breaking formation now. Coca-Cola is a one-shot. There's no one to cover his retreat right now. The Annihilator, oh, he sprayed the shot. Just Positive now will push around and try and get it. But there goes Coca-Cola down. Positive took 2 shots for that, where he possibly didn't even need to if the Annihilator managed to connect that first one. Povel low as well. Just Cause is low. Karitz off to the side. He's trying to deal with Streko on the periphery, and he does manage to win that 1v1, but Zik takes down Povel now as well. It's going to be a real close one, ladies and gentlemen. A photo finish if I've ever seen one. Just Cause over towards Positive there. Vorson took down Karitz, but that's not really a big player in terms of the size of his tank now. Those IS-3 and the 5100s there as well. It's 4 tanks versus 4, but Kusok and Breakneck are full health.
So many missed shots from Tornado. It was really embarrassing. They could have had Bishop down here. They could have had Just Cause, but 2 or 3 missed shots, and that's the end of story at these close ranges. So Virtus.Pro has Kusok and Breakneck, who are completely useless pretty much up to this point in the game, and they can actually do some real damage. Vorsic also on reload. Negative, I believe, on reload as well, and Just Cause are going to be able to get the bum shots. 2
unanswered shots going over towards Rocks there, ones that they couldn't respond for. And look at Just Cause, he's going to take another shot. All this free damage. Just Cause is actually going to get back in there unscathed. Tornado Rocks are in a complete and utter mess right now. They've got no idea which way to look, and they pretty much throw any opportunity they have of winning this particular round away. They had it. The opportunity was there, and they just completely caved.
Well, initially, I think it was brilliant from Virtus.Pro because, I was seeing this map before the season started, and it was like all about that initial damage. One of the viable strategies as the defender is just to go forwards. Just find a tank you can take out before the other team gets into position, and just go for it. And it worked out perfectly. The Armageddon getting caught out unaware. He was trying to get to that 8 line. The MX-30 5100s were there in time, and they managed to take him down. So I think Tornado did a great job of trying to get back into the game. They played some good tanks, but at the end of the day, 2 or 3 missed shells, it gifted Virtus.Pro 1 or 2 alive tanks.
You could see, though, that the majority of Tornado's forces were up on that hill already, and they weren't ready for that at all. And I mean, we already saw that tonight as well, denying a team that 8-line push or getting an early read on their strats, or something as simple as just getting that early pick off on an enemy tank is so crucial. That initial damage, just like you said, is really important. Tornado Rocks, they completely threw them off. You could see it right there. They were scrabbling to respond. I can imagine the yelling would have been happening in their voice comms. And yeah, I guess to try and sort of bring themselves back in the game, I thought they did well. They just had to group up and sort of try and focus down. They still had those 5100s, and this is where it looked like Virtus.Pro actually might have had things turned around on them. But this was an important shot.
Fluff shot by the Annihilator, no point. You didn't have any pressure on to hit that shot. Zik makes a mistake, so you've already wasted basically 2 shots there. And then you have Zik come around again. He misses the shell. And then it just, you know, doesn't work out for Tornado. Positive coming around as well. Vorsic in the background. You know, I think having lost that tier 8 tank, it made it very hard for Tornado. But initial movement, very good from Virtus.
Yeah, definitely Tornado. Just the execution was lacking there as well. That shot on the Annihilator, like I think it was positive. Positive didn't necessarily have to push around there. He could, if the Annihilator hit that shot, Positive wouldn't have taken 600 damage to the face straight away. There was an overmatch as well. I mean, Virtus.Pro was split on those 2 tanks there, and it was just missed shot after missed shot. Tornado Rocks cannot afford to let that happen again. Virtus.Pro are close to forcing a tiebreaker here on Himmelsdorf.
Yeah, that's really bad. Virtus.Pro definitely coming back into this game. I mean, 2 rounds in a row now. Tornado need to stop this one. They need to, you know, halt Virtus.Pro dead, and hopefully they're going to reset themselves a little bit. You know, get back to their kind of smart play and make sure that Virtus.Pro aren't able to find awkward positions and awkward angles onto their team. Now they are setting up basically as a counter to that 8-line push. Immediately you can see the, Armageddon. Oh, again Streko getting caught out. I mean, come on, Streko.
He just got nuked there quite quickly.
Yeah, but look where he is. I mean, Virtus.Pro spotted him. Streko just driving idly around. He should have, as soon as he spotted, he should just turn right because he's not going to spot anymore.
Virtus.Pro now have had the opportunity. They were maybe anticipating something towards the west by the looks, and they were set up there, but they've now been able to pull back again. Tornado Rocks losing Streko early on in the piece, and we've seen Koritz up in that same position, but he's played it a little bit more conservatively in the past, and maybe that's the point of difference between those 2 players. But here's that 8-line push now from Tornado Rocks. Might see that what we've now come to see as traditional push on towards that northern cap. Positive in the Armageddon are going up. You see Vorsen coming down that hill as well.
Bad news for Vorsen.
That's very premature from Vorsen to come down that hill. He hasn't been shot yet, somehow, miraculously unscathed.
Yeah, I mean, there just wasn't any line from Virtus.Pro. They didn't actually spot him out, so let's see. I mean, Virtus.Pro is set up perfectly for this northern side defensive position. Absolutely perfectly. Streko dying early on basically stopped Tornado from being able to go to the EF area because they wouldn't have been able to put a small enough tank behind that building. So Virtus.Pro is like one option left for Tornado. Go towards that northern side cap. They making sure that as well that they don't go for a CD area like they did. Ooh, a couple of fluff shots there into Koritz though. But I think he'll probably fall either way. I
don't think Tornado are going to suffer too badly for having missed those shots, but it's just not a great sign from him now. And there you go, they've pushed up on Virtus.Pro a little bit here, and Virtus.Pro forced to back away a little bit of a health point advantage as well towards Tornado Rocks, so that's always a bonus now. But look at them quickly moving into this position. No team has done this yet. They're denying sort of that 2-pronged sort of double cap position. Virtus.Pro are actually moving off the cap, and now they're just going to try and catch out Armageddon or another tank on their own.
But the thing is, Vorsic, they didn't know Vorsic was there, so Just Cause is in big trouble.
Oh, wow, Vorsic set up on the hill. He managed to back right up. Just Cause is, well, he's going to get 100-0'd almost by the 5100 there of Vorsic. I don't know if he can finish the job quite. And the Armageddon, yes, he'll get pushed off to, but Popple and Kusok, you know, are sort of forced to deal with him directly now. There's a 5100 on that 8-line in the hull down position. It doesn't look like he was able to really connect. Just Cause goes down there. Vorsic manages to finish the job, and that's a great result for Tornado Rocks here. But Virtus.Pro, they're still in it. It's a game in the balance.
Ooh, positive Breakneck. That's a great 1v1. I think their reload is very close. I think Vorsic as well has a couple of shells, but we need that 5100 on the 8-line to come on now. Breakneck has a great opportunity.
Breakneck looks like he's going to finish off positive. Yes, just off screen it happened, but, well, we kind of knew exactly what was going to happen. A bit of a foregone conclusion there. Positive at probably one of the most crucial moments for Tornado Rocks in this game. Fluffs the shot. Kusok is still healthy. Bishop has a half health as well on the T32, no less. So he's set up there in that one as well. And Virtus.Pro going to wait for a little bit. Is even Stevens here, essentially, in terms of health. Coca-Cola going to be pushed on to Vorsen. Vorsen getting a taste of his own medicine and forced to back around that corner. Now can't contribute to the fight that's happening on the 8-line. This might be an opportunity for Virtus.Pro to get involved. Negative having to back away. Kusok is holding strong, hasn't taken any damage yet. A bastion of strength for Virtus.Pro.
Ooh, but Zik with a great shot onto Povl. Now, Vorsic, he's going to have to play a game of nerve.
All right, Zik trying to deal with Breakneck. The Annihilator is there, but Bishop's going to come up and assist as well. Negative is still alive. He's keeping Kusok tied down to that one position for the moment. Breakneck cops another shot. They zicked one from Bishop. He responds in kind though. Kusok does get negative off screen. He's going to be able to assist in just a moment. Breakneck takes down Zik as well. It's just 2 tanks left for Tornado Rocks. Yes, Forceful to get the shot on towards Breakneck, but he's got Kusok and he's got Bishop, and of course Coca-Cola to deal with Tornado Rocks. They held in tight, but it's just those few shots they've missed, and this is the implication of those missed shots. Virtus.Pro are going to be able to clean this one up and take it to a tiebreaker.
So close though. Vorsic just only man alive now with 174 HP, and you know, have to feel sorry for him because I thought he really held his own in many respects. A little bit attentive, a little bit of a wimp in many situations as Kusok does end his life and bringing it up all even to 4-4.
Impressive work from Virtus.Pro there. Literally teetering on the precipice of losing, and they've picked up all 4 rounds on Himmelsdorf.
3.
All 3 rounds so far. Incredible work from them, really. I mean, like they definitely seemed a little bit softened up in those first few rounds of the day. They brought it back, and Rocks, you know, people were expecting them really to maybe have performed better on Himmelsdorf. They were very strong on it in their last game, but Virtus.Pro have just dug in there. It's still been close. Some really clutch play from Virtus.Pro, and also some unfortunate mistakes being made by Rocks there.
Yeah, Virtus.Pro in that last round won because they were just a better team in the firefight. They played the more classic Himmelsdorf. I thought Vorsic was a little bit of a wimp. Great move by Coca-Cola to push Vorsic up onto that hill, you know, get the overmatch in terms of hit points. And then Kusok doing a great job. Negative, just trying to run away from Kusok. No reason at all. I mean, Kusok just peeked, took down Negative. He didn't need to die. He had some weird exchanges, but Virtus.Pro, they boxed in Rocks quite nicely. They're great individual performance, and you know, 3 rounds in a row, you have to give it to them. Virtus.Pro do up the ante when they need to.
So this is where Virtus.Pro sort of flicked a switch almost and went towards the Armageddon. And yes, Vorsic got some great damage on towards Just Cause, but somehow Virtus.Pro turned this into a win. This is where it started.
So now, you know, it's almost, you know, a very obvious move from Virtus.Pro because the Armageddon was spotted on his own. Virtus.Pro went for him, but Vorsic, like, he should have peeked. He should have been there to get the side shots onto Virtus.Pro, so Breakneck couldn't live for so long. But, you know, that was a kind of a 1-for-1 exchange because Breakneck died at some point. You can see here Just Cause as well. In my opinion, the best player on Virtus.Pro eventually falls. But you have the Positive versus Breakneck. Now, Positive fluffs his shell, and that's a massive deal, and it allows Breakneck to go in and finish him off.
Absolutely. I mean, it would have been a high roll for Positive to have killed Breakneck there. Still could have done it, there's no doubt about it. And having that extra IS3 floating, and we can speculate all we like, but it could have made all the difference there in that game. So we were talking before. Now, this is where Kusok really, the T-32 I wanted to point out as well, being picked up by Bishop. But this is the strange scenario that you noted in just a moment. But Zik got the pick on Povl. Everything looking okay, still close. But then we see everyone from Tornado just start to drop in. Negative going super low.
Yeah, I mean, Negative gets your shot here. He tries to peek Kusok, like 11 seconds reload on that BL9. Kusok, easy pick up there. End of story, and then boom, boom, boom. It's game over. Eventually, Vorsic comes into the battle, but because he's on that hill, I think Vorsic, if I was him, I think I would just pushed off the hill eventually because Coca-Cola's got to reload. You got to counter shells, and once Virtus.Pro had to make the decision to kill the tanks on the lower part of Himmelsdorf, Vorsic should have just made the gamble and just gone straight for it.
They were missing some crucial tanks in some very crucial moments. Now, what's interesting enough, we talked before, we said, haven't seen any Ghost Town yet. Well, that is actually our tiebreaker map for today. So, I mean, we've seen sort of nothing from either of these teams on a Ghost Town. I mean, it's a relative anomaly here. We've seen it a little bit in some other leagues. Seen it in North America, played a little bit there, with some very varied and interesting results. Yeah,
we've seen Ghost Town on the CIS side of things, the North America side of things. We've seen it on the Asians as well, but just no European. But we've only just started. Ghost Town is, I mean, that middle area is obviously very important, and how you firefight around there. It's going to be about heavy tanks. It's going to be about a good mixture, kind of like a Ruenberg-esque lineup, I think we're going to probably see.
All right, Melly, people at home watching, getting involved in the conversation. I mean, so torn between these two teams. We saw the vote initially was in favour of Virtus.Pro, then a switch. I mean, what are you seeing out there? What are people saying?
Well, I've never seen Twitch chat so quiet during round 2 and 3 of the second map. It was just insane. No one was typing, and everyone was clearly focusing on a match or just sitting in front of their monitors and shaking their head and not knowing what's happening. I don't know, but Twitch chat is back alive, and now they're talking about how awesome it is that Virtus.Pro actually climbs back on top, and well, they're still in the last map, and it feels like that they can't really they don't trust the Virtus.Pro's favor right now. We will see in a bit. Now it's like 2-3 tanks left. Soon to be the reactions of Twitch chat, and also we got tweets after the first map, and people, well, I don't know where it is. It said, I think I'm in a parallel universe. When did I slide? Team Virtus.Pro losing 1-3 versus Rocks in WGL EU. Can't believe my eyes. That's basically the voice of the community. That pretty much mirrors every thought on social media and in Twitch chat.
Well, I mean, even for us watching the games as well, it's just been quite a seesaw affair. But I mean, like a team with the caliber of Virtus.Pro, which they've proven time and time again over seasons, this is maybe not something that we should be overly surprised about. More surprised that they got to that initial deficit now. We're going to be on a map as well where we don't really even know who's practiced this one, what the strats are going to be like. Even like now, as obviously this sort of delay catches up on stream, have you seen any real shift in the voting percentages? Has it been fairly the same? Or?
Well, the vote has been close after our first map, gotcha. So it still stuck on 77% for Virtus.Pro, which can be seen as a change. Still, as said, that's a new time low for Virtus.Pro, since they always range around the 90%. And sometimes even higher, sometimes a bit less, but never around 70%.
All right, well, that's WGL social media 101 for me, of course, so closing our map vote after the first map. Let's talk about this one. Let's do a bit of theory craft, and we haven't had the chance to sort of flesh this one out much at all. We've talked about the teams, we've talked about the tendencies. Ghost Town, bizarre map, very new, very interesting setup, the way it's sort of laid out. You'll see it in a second. What are your thoughts? I mean, who's going to benefit from this more? Whose playing style? Do you feel like the cohesion and the well-drilled nature of Virtus.Pro is going to really help them out here, or?
Well, we have that juxtaposition of Himmelsdorf, which is technically an attacker-biased map now, and we have the complete symmetry of Ghost Town, where everything's the same, everything's symmetrical. I mean, it was designed as a 742, and the premise of the map was 742, and I think that's what's really going to work for Virtus.Pro.
All right, well, without further ado, it's time to say hello to one of the newest maps in the WGL EU, Ghost Town. All right, Tornado Rocks versus Virtus.Pro. This is the decider. What an important game for both of these teams. Tornado on the attack, Virtus.Pro defending.
Well, obviously, the team that had the fastest attacking round gets to decide which side. I'm not sure exactly which one these two teams go on, but Virtus.Pro being very aggressive at the beginning, not wanting to waste any time.
Tornado Rocks have the position of that 12-ton strutted out, so he'll be able to spot the approach of Virtus.Pro as they push in towards that central city. It's just Negative on his own right now, and Armageddon off to the side. He's going to get caught by Breakneck as he pulls around the corner, and there goes the shot as well, but Breakneck actually losing out in that engagement, but Negative forced away at the moment. Where is the rest of Tornado Rocks? They've got two IS-3s, and they're not even remotely close to the fight.
Ooh, but Volsig just having to reverse out of there. The IS-3s definitely are going to be a big thing, and Virtus.Pro look like they want to go for the arrowhead approach.
Where are the IS-3s of Tornado Rocks? That's what they'd be asking in TeamSpeak as well, I'm sure. The Armageddon forcing a court in the middle of that match, in the middle of the map, should I say. There's not much they could do. Bishop down to a half health here. But these IS-3s now, Negative going low. He actually manages to get out somehow, but the Annihilator and Zik, positive. They're so late to the party right now, but Tornado Rocks are trading still very, very well. Here's the responding fire. Now the IS-3s are now involved in the fight. Tornado are starting to gain some ground back, but they are at a deficit, and they've got to somehow bring it back into their ballpark.
Positive, the high HP tanks from Tornado really need to start getting this game, but big play by Zik and gets caught out.
Yeah, Zik, big 1,000 damage on towards him, and Coca-Cola will finish the job. Not looking great for Tornado Rocks right now. They're still trying to hang in there, of course. The Armageddon on towards Breakneck. Kusok now very healthy. He wants to go straight on towards Negative. Get that 5100 out of the game. But look at this. Kusok takes 2 shots for his trouble. Negative will pull around the corner. I think he has another shell in the chamber as well. Kusok has to be so careful careful about the way he pushes that corner, and he has to slow up a bit. Positive, the Annihilator, Armageddon still standing. There goes Karitz there. And Kusok will go for a side scrape or something. He'll try and make sure his odds of pushing around that corner are as good as possible. But over on the other side of the map, Bishop down to about 340 health. Just Cause is low. Povil is low. But Coca-Cola, he's an important player. He's up behind with the IS-3.
Great little push there from Tornado Rocks, really getting the angles. The Annihilator eventually goes down, but the damage is already done. But big mistake by Negative.
Negative goes down. Positive in the Armageddon. The last two tanks standing. Coca-Cola, what a crucial position for that IS-3. He came up behind. And now Tornado Rocks had to turn their heads in two different directions. They've got some time now to back away just a little bit, but Povil is in a 5100. The amount of damage he can output in a small space of time is going to be fearsome. Positive, I mean, if he's able to get a good shot on towards Kusok, and he can take him out of the game, that's only 2v2, and that would be the ideal scenario here. Positive has a chance. Kusok's round the corner, but will he be able to connect with that BL9? No, he hits the deck, puts a bit of smoke up, but he isn't able to connect on towards that lightweight now. Positive has to back on away. These two tanks for Tornado Rocks are split up. The Armageddon still towards the middle of the map, still trying to deal with Coca-Cola, and Povil is sort of free to rotate here and assist where he could be most useful.
But now you'll see Virtus.Pro on the retreat. They want to try and find an area that they can turtle down because, well, they are actually on the defensive side, I do believe. I mean, you know, come on. Virtus.Pro have been so aggressive for so many rounds. They might just want to slow up and really reset the fight a little bit.
Coca-Cola on your screen there in the IS-3. Pivotal player in this round for Virtus.Pro, really opened things up for them. And now Positive the Armageddon, cleverly enough, is sticking together. If they can double tap any tank, they can try and pick these fights bit by bit. Take the 2v1, take another 2v1, and then of course you get that last one. Virtus.Pro aren't really together right now, so there is an opportunity present for them to do something about it. Of course, you can see they're looking for a cap maybe. Cap in the north side, even if they can drag some Virtus.Pro tanks out of position. But this is Virtus.Pro. This is the typical way they play. They're not going to put themselves in a dangerous situation if they can afford it. They're going to sit back and they're going to wait for Tornado to try and create an opportunity of their own.
So we've got Virtus.Pro basically hull down now, up in towards the southern side of this map, the southeast side of the map. I think it will be very surprising if Tornado don't find at least one tank here, but you got good line of sight. You got the 5100, the ultimate sniper in the background, and the highest HP tank in the most obvious position, and Kusok there just support, and also, you know, being very mobile. He can run, he can hide, he can also, you know, do a little bit of damage if he wants. But, you know, I feel so sorry for Tornado. This is looking very dire for them, and yeah, I don't think they deserve it. I think, you know, one mistake by Negative cost them this game.
Positive in the Armageddon. Moving on towards the cap here now. And now Virtus.Pro have to make a decision. They have to make the move. They send one tank out there at a time, and it's not going to work well. I mean, Coca-Cola, probably the only tank on the side of Virtus.Pro that could stand up to a double tap here from this IS-3 and T-32. But Virtus.Pro will not take any chances. You can see them trying to get into position now. Coca-Cola moving up, Kusok out wide, and Povil won't be far away as well. There's no way that they can really spot out Povil as he crosses up into that little gap there. But can Coca-Cola also get around and have a shot? Armageddon Positive. Don't really know where to look. Positive. Oh, he's on fire. That's not ideal at all. And he's going to drop down, leaving his mate, the Armageddon, the last man standing. Of all the times you could catch on fire, that is possibly the worst.
Oh, that was bad. And, well, one reply by the Armageddon. Kusok, though, from the side. He'll surely finish the game.
Oh, the T-32 doesn't hit nearly as hard as those IS-3s, of course. And the Armageddon forced to push out. He knows it's done. He had 1 point of health left. And Virtus.Pro in a tiebreaker. They bring back 4 games in a row there. Absolutely stellar performance from them. We should expect them to have definitely made it a close one, but I don't think anyone expected things to end in this way.
No, I think Tornado just, they basically slid down a very slippery slope. They started off very well on Ruhenberg, 3-1, then they got another round 4-1 on Himmelsdorfer, then it just went really downhill very fast. Virtus.Pro picked up 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds, and then finally on the 4th round they managed to do it. I think it was won and lost where Negative basically peaked. It could have been a 3 versus 3 situation. It would have still been hard, but they might have been able to do it here. Vorsi takes a lot of damage, and you know, Virtus.Pro being aggressive, being a hungry team wanting to go forwards, it works out very well for them.
I can see Vorsen just put out of the fight so early. I mean, those IS-3s, they did work in the end. They got to the fight, but could it have been earlier? Could they have been with the main force for that? Did they have to split off? Was it just part of the strategy for Tornado?
Well, it's not a normal strategy for a team just to go crazy like that, just go all in, be very aggressive. That's totally unusual. And you know, this is where Tornado has everything going for them. 4 versus 3, a reply there. But look, Povil there on the background, just waiting for Negative to have the cross. It was unnecessary. He didn't need that. He was so poised and so patient until that point, and then he just gave it all away. But still, I think Virtus.Pro would have been able to do it, and this is the crux moment where Positive misses the shell against Kusok, and they try and turtle down. But I think altogether, Virtus.Pro has to be very worried about the fact that Tornado, a new team, previously known as Polite People, come into this game and take them all the way.
Incredible. Virtus.Pro there, definitely silencing the critics, and there were plenty, of course, Melly, as you know, over on the Twitch chat in those first few games. Definitely a lot of people doubting him. Surely minds must be changing now, seeing how they brought back into this tiebreaker and actually ended up winning it.
People are kind of jumpy in their decisions and in their how they in their preferences of teams, for example. But a lot of people say, of course, Virtus.Pro, they took it, and of course they made it because it's Virtus.Pro. But still, Rox came fairly close to them, and as you guys said, they really have to look out for even the new teams. Maybe they underestimated the new team. Maybe that's one point, because that wasn't during some maps. It wasn't during some rounds. I mean, it wasn't the Virtus.Pro we used to know, and well, we see how it develops over time, I guess.
I think also, I'm sure Tornado Rocks will have a few more fans in this region cluster as well. Impressive performance, especially from us who've seen teams rise and fall. We know what obviously we're looking for in terms of teams that are going to be dominant. They're definitely looking good. Melly, before we start to close things up tonight, anything else you wanted to say? Anything to our friends on Twitter or anything like that?
Of course, thank you very much for getting involved, for taking part in our, well, in all my in all my questions, and of course, thank you for tweeting. Thank you for participating in the vote. The next team vote will be up next Thursday, of course, and but in the meantime, I think I can already tease the people at home. There's something big waiting on our social media platforms the next couple days, so you should probably go and follow our Facebooks and Twitters and everything. Of course, it's always /WGLEU, and if you missed today, well, we still have the VODs, so don't worry. Head over to youtube.com/WGLEU, subscribe, and get a notification as soon as we upload the VODs. And of course, don't forget to follow our Twitch channel to get a notification as well as soon as we're going live.
Thank you so much, Melly. And of course, it's probably time to let's cast our eyes back over the games we've seen today and see how things ended up as the smoke did clear. Well, Ollie, I mean, it's been three pretty big games. I mean, the first two weren't exactly the closest ones, but that last game between Tornado and Rocks and Virtus.Pro was good. Kaz Crew over Synergy, 5-1. Wusa over Ding, 5-2 as well. Yeah,
two pretty one-sided games. The kind of older teams, the more experienced teams walking away with some wins. But I think Synergy and Ding will be looking at Rocks and saying, okay, you took probably one of the top teams in the world right to the very end, and I have to say, I feel sorry for Rocks. They probably should have won that one, and Virtus.Pro taking the point away from Rocks, a very, very harsh result for them, and I'm sure they're going to be very annoyed, but hopefully they're going to take that passion, that aggression into their next match and use it to their advantage.
Well, we're off to a cracker of a start here in the WGL EU Season 1 for 2015 and 2016. Let's have a look at our upcoming matches here on Thursday as well for match day number 2 of match week number 2, of course. Again, we're going to continue to see the ladder develop now as these games go off. What's your pick here? I mean, we've got Penta Supreme, Utopia, ASAP, and No Mercy against fellow Poles, Strong CML.
Well, I think we'll see the first test for Supreme going up against a slightly changed roster from Penta. That's going to be very interesting. Utopia, ASAP, I don't know, Utopia coming off a loss, ASAP getting crushed as well by Supreme in their previous match. Have to see that one work out, and then we have the kind of the two new Polish teams going head-to-head. I think that's my matchup for that week, for that day.
It's going to be absolutely brilliant. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us here for Playday 1 of match week number 2. We'll be back on Thursday with Lauren Pansy Scott joining you as your host. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, good night, and we'll see you on the battlefield.